The top 25 real estate apps will begin shortly. All of you are currently in the listen-only mode. However, if you have questions during the course of this session, you can type them into the chat screen or into the question screen, and we'll try to get to all questions either during the course of the event or towards the end of the event. We'll get Jeff to answer any questions that may be lingering. For those of you that may be new to AEM Achieve series, we're happy to bring you a number of topics, tools, and resources to help you grow your business. We're not selling you anything. There's no commitment to buy anything. We really want to provide all of our relationships and friends a great deal of information to help you build your business. Immediately following this webinar, we're going to send you a short survey. We'd appreciate you filling that out, giving us any feedback you may have on this survey or anything that you'd like to see in future events. Once you complete the survey, you're going to receive an email with a link to all of our webinars, as well as a special gift from Jeff Lobb. Just in case you've missed any of our prior webinar events, we have those are available in playback mode and a great source of information. We welcome any feedback you have on any of those as well. Now let me introduce today's speaker, Jeff Lobb. We've been fortunate to have Jeff on a number of different events. Jeff is fantastic with technology and with real estate. He is the founder and CEO of Spark Tank Media, which is a consulting firm specializing in real estate technology and productivity. I've known Jeff now for many years. He's an outstanding trainer. He's been a realtor for more than 2 decades, a top producer, and also a broker owner. Jeff knows real estate and technology. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. Jeff?
Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning to some of our West Coast folks. Still morning out by you guys, but thanks for joining us. And let me get our slide deck to be in the right position. We'll be good to go. Talking about the top 25 apps, I'm going to share with you on my screen a gift we're going to give towards the end so that while we're going through today's apps, I don't want it to be just some kind of an app fest where we're just kind of rambling off apps. What I want to do is try and identify some of the why we're going to use these, why they make sense for real estate, and maybe how they apply to our business versus just rambling off some names. And rather than you try and writing everything down, I would recommend still taking some bullet point notes. But we're going to provide you a gift of a digital ebook towards the end. After you take your survey and all that good stuff, we'll provide it to you with much more detail in my new ebook, Absolutely Real Estate. So still don't shy away from notes, but remember, we're going to focus on why, then the how. So it comes to apps. There's tons of apps out there, guys, as you know. We get overwhelmed with the amount of apps. And what I want to do is kind of hit the first top 3, not lightly per se, not loosely, but many of you know that the Zillows, the Trulias, and the Realtor.coms, I hit all 3 real quick up here. Not so much to take away from, yeah, you have to have them. Yes, Jeff, we know they're the most popular apps. What I really want to look at and what I've learned from most real estate professionals is that while we talk about these in such often context, that we never really put them on our device and use them as a consumer would. So when it comes to Zillow and Trulia, we talk about it, but how many of us really went into the app acting like a consumer, understanding what the consumer sees, what benefits they find, how user-friendly it might be from a mobile device? So we just take it for granted sometimes. So obviously in my top 25, I think there's still some of the most powerful apps for search and some other stuff, but I think we also more importantly need to look from the consumer's perspective. So if you have them on your device, spend 5-10 minutes literally going through the Zillows, Trulias, Realtor.coms, searching for homes, find out where the draw button is and how the accuracy looks and how the mapping looks. And then quite frankly, I'll be honest, one thing I would do with these 3 is I would compare it to my own mobile site. What do consumers see when they go to my mobile site, and what's the experience like? And if you see a significant difference, obviously, maybe there's a reason why consumers are going to some of these sites for a better mobile experience versus what you're using on your device. So it's not to necessarily hurt what you're doing. It's more so to show maybe the reasons why consumers are selecting certain things to search. So top 3, of course, I've got 25. We're going to get into some more detail. But those are the first 3 to start off from a different perspective of maybe the why. Next up is Homekeeper. Homekeeper, H-O-M-E-K, actually it's K-E-P-R, my bad. It's spelled a little bit differently. It's K-E-P-R. Homekeeper is a fantastic value add after the premise. So let me see if I can actually do this right here real quick. I'll make sure that's done properly. Here we go. Be right on the fly. There we go. So HomeKeeper being a value add and a value after the purchase or even into the contract of the purchase. What it does is, as you know, most homes do not come with an instruction booklet. And many of you probably have vendor lists of all your suppliers and vendors and recommendations, because let's face it, you are the local expert. So that being said, the consumers need a better way to A, have your vendors handy, B, reminders of what they really need to do for their home that are important to them, because they may not know when to manage their central air conditioning, what time of year should they get their gutters cleaned, and all that good stuff. So HomeKeeper will do that through a branded app. The branding is all built around you, the agent. It's a link you send to the customer, and what they'll do is they'll open it and not only get the reminders of everything happening, they'll have your direct contact as a resource for all their home needs, easy to refer, easily branded, every screen is branded, and digitally have all of your vendors and relationships in digital format in the app itself. So it's a really nice value add to have kind of as a gift or closing gift. I wouldn't even wait till after the transaction on this one. I would actually probably give it to them prior to hitting home inspection, because they may need those particular vendors and relationships even prior to the end of the sale. So just my thoughts there, but that's HomeKeeper as an app / as a service. Now, also, let me preface this too, as we're talking about many of these. Keep in mind, some of these might be an app through the App Store. Some of these might be an app that's web-based, where you go on a website and get it as a service, and others may or may not cost money. So I'm not going to get into today whether this one's 99 cents or that one's $1.99, or because they can change on any given moment. They could be free for a while, they could be $20 a month, they could be $10 to download. I'm going to ask you to do your own due diligence on any of these. I'm going to share with you the values. You do your due diligence on, does it apply to your business? Do you find the value for the $1 or $20, whatever it might be? But I'm going to leave that up to you, if that's fair. These do change quite often. So there you go, that's HomeKeeper. Next is Around Me. And Around Me, I'll even throw you a bonus. I would also say, if I had to pick a secondary category, is CO Everywhere. CO Everywhere. But Around Me seems to be my go-to for this particular service, meaning I'm with a customer. I may not be in my backyard. I need to find things literally around me. I need the bank. I need to find an ATM machine. I need to find a coffee shop, a place to go have a meeting. Around Me has been pretty accurate as far as finding what I need, and at the same time, really fast, responsive, just for the simple things you need on the go based on location based. So you never know when you're going to need that one. It sits on my iPhone and used probably several times a month, especially odd things too. I need to run to a drugstore for something. Where's the Walgreens? That kind of stuff. So Around Me, good favorite for real estate when you're out with clients. Next up, Mile IQ. If you hate doing your taxes, which most of us do, and hate trying to track mileage, and have challenges, or many of us, I'll promise you, don't even do that. We don't track our mileage. You don't have to anymore. Mile IQ will do it for you. It will track your both business and personal. It can determine based on a swipe of which is business or personal. It'll track all your geolocation, all your travel, all the distance, and help you calculate it all literally for your accountant and or for your tax returns to be prepared. It's probably one of the finest, most accurate and detailed mileage tracking system for tax purposes and or for something else you may need to track your mileage to and from properties. But what I love about it is having the ability to be able to swipe left or right to saying, was that trip I just took a personal trip or a business trip? And you simply swipe one for business or the other side for personal, and it records it and logs it for you accordingly. So just a great, well-rounded app for that. And you'll be surprised, many of you don't track miles and stuff. There's a lot of value there if you talk to your accountant that you might be missing out on. Mileage, or Mile IQ, there we go. Next, started off as not so much one of my favorites, now has become a favorite, which is Waze. It's been acquired since from a few different companies, but some larger than others right now. But what Waze started off and still is a social, let's call it mapping software for drivability and drive time. So I need to go from point A to point B. yes, you can use your own GPS and your own stuff built into your vehicle. Waze has impressed me over the past years. Not only does it involve social connections, meaning other people on the Waze system participate, like social media, on the app in real-time drive time. Meaning, if there's an accident ahead, they are posting through their profile that there's an accident and where it is. If there's somebody pulled off to the side of the road, socially, they are posting through icons and through some other messaging that there is somebody pulled over to the side of the road, so that you're prepared that when you get there. And what's cool is as you pass that location, it's going to say, hey, is that car still pulled off to the side of the road? Now, to prevent distraction, of course, it's just a little bit of a thumbs up, like button kind of stuff versus trying to type because you're driving. What I have found ways to do, though, has been rerouting myself around major traffic issues that I did not know were coming. And it has saved me hours of sitting bumper to bumper and stuff when this has rerouted me to a route that it found that has least traffic and still best route. And it's just done a phenomenal job. And I'll tell you, if I didn't physically experience the drive time with Waze running, I wouldn't have believed it, because all these GPSs and all these systems, if you will, say they can do it. This one does it very well. I will recommend, though, that you do have your cell phone plugged in, as the geolocation on this and everything, if it's running full time, it's going to burn your battery pretty good. So you need to have some good juice behind Waze. But one of my favorites for driving, point A to point B. It's pretty sweet. Next up, totally different category altogether. Happens to be a digital business card. StoryApp.me. StoryApp.me is the digital business card. You want to call it of the future, if you will. It's really of the today, because what we're dealing with is we're dealing with paper business cards in a digital era. And trying to take all of my social media links, all of my video links, all of my search, all of my social, all of my Instagram, and everything, and put it on a business card that connects to nothing doesn't really help me in today's digital era. So while business cards are still very important, at the end of the day, the top 2 or 3 things happen. When I give you my card, and I ask this question quite often amongst live audiences, even a group I approached this morning, if I give you my business card, where's that business card in 5 weeks? And the top 3 answers across the board are simply this: garbage, lost on my desk, I don't know, or 2 or 3% have the ability to possibly, and the discipline to scan it into an app. But even when you do scan it into an app, most of the apps that scan it will just make it a digital printed card, not a digital card, meaning I can't touch it and have it connect to Instagram or social media or anything. So what StoryApp.me does is takes all of your content, all of your life, and all of your story, puts it into one domain, one digital business card, fully responsive to fit every mobile, iPad, and desktop device. And the beauty of it is it's transferred via text, email, because at the end of the day, if you tell me you're going to throw away my business card and lose it, the next best place I need to be is in your phone. And that's what StoryApp.me does, is gets in your phone and delivers a great mobile experience for all of your stuff. So definitely check it out. If you want to actually check out my own personal site so you can see it live, jefflob.me, jefflob.me is my digital business card, so you can see one up and running live. It's always good to see different scenarios in real time. That's one is a good example. Mortgage calculators, you know, there's a lot of them, and while some of them do some very basic functionality, one of my favorites happens to be on the Android platform here. It's Carl's Mortgage Calculator, and it has a really feature-rich set of things that it can do for both your amortizations, different ways of calculating, backing into different scenarios, which I find very interesting. And I'm looking at some of the text chat coming in, and we're getting some fun response from some of the gang out there today. But Carl's happens to be my favorite. If I'm on my iOS or my iPhone, believe it or not, my personal preference, and while there's a lot of creative calculators for those who want to get geeky in numbers, most of us need simple, clean, taxes, PMI, and give me the real numbers. Believe it or not, I use the Zillow Mortgage app. It's a very clean, simple app built on Zillow's mobile platform, so it performs well. In the Android platform, Carl's Mortgage Calculator is a big fan of many. So there you go. That's for mortgage calculation. Keep it simple. One of my most creative sides of photography and creating better visuals. Again, lots of these types of content, photo creation apps that are out there. I like Diptych for several reasons. Diptych is a collage type app, but realistically what I like about it is the ease of use on the mobile device and the flexibility to be able to move frames, shapes, add color, add light, because let's face it, most of our photos need to add light, and shape it all within the mobile device within a minute or two versus having to do other editing and taking it into another editing platform. So what a good reason to use Diptych might be for open houses that you might have, and you want to create a collage for the open house. Maybe it's a post you want to post to Instagram on a piece of property you're marketing. Maybe it's a flyer you're going to create, because it will create a high-def HD quality photo in collage format so that you can take it to print wherever you'd like. Great to share digitally, great to share with clients, buyers, and prospects, but just a really simple, easy-to-use way to be creative in your collage and photo creations. Diptych. I always have to be careful how I say that one, so I'm going to say it very slowly. GoConnect. GoConnect was created by a friend of ours in the industry. He's Zach Shabat. He has created this product in its infancy, and now it's well formed out to what GoConnect is today. And GoConnect is your checklist app for real estate. I mean, it has got all of the tasks and features you need for both buyers and sellers. You creating, your checklists, your spreadsheets, whiteboarding. It really delivers your tasks nicely each morning based on what has to get accomplished. And it's created very simply so that we understand what has to get done today, but it's from a real estate perspective. Simple things like being able to swipe gestures and being able to rotate and look at it in different formats. Fantastic for those things. Also, it's got a past client follow-up plan that is good for prospecting and referrals too. So this product continues to develop. It was really just simply developed for solving some very simple real estate daily tasks, and it keeps everything organized and keeps you in line for that. So go check out GoConnect, and kudos to Zach for great creating a great solution to a problem that we've had in the industry. GetKeep.net. Now here's one of those examples I gave you that you're not going to go find it necessarily in the App Store. You're going to go to GetKeep.net, and you're going to actually find it on the actual site itself. But yet, doesn't mean it's not an application. I mean, when we use the word app, doesn't have to mean it's in an app store. It's an application that's easily processed from the website. Here's what GetKeep does. It's pretty interesting, especially if you're in the mortgage space, and I know we have a lot of real estate agents listening today, but built for both parties, I would recommend, from a real estate and a mortgage perspective. So GetKeep is taking the value of your home, and it's a great way to keep referrals coming into from your sphere. But after you sell a property, what it will do is it will trigger and send out beautifully done forms, I want to say forms, infographic style forms to your customer base, and will send financial updates about the home and the mortgage of how the value is of their property that they've purchased. So basically, the client enters their data, they get customized data about their home, and then updating on an ongoing basis throughout the year, they will see what the values of the properties have gone to, good or bad, in the industry and at the home they've purchased. So it's a value and a data proposition. Homeowners always love to know what data and what is happening about their home's value. So it's a way to keep in touch with the customers by providing them a value add after the sale regarding their financial information. So pretty slick idea, different spin on it. Definitely something to go check out, but it's had a lot of great success from what the consumers are looking for.
That could let them also know when they could refinance possibly, right? Maybe lower the rates if they qualify and that sort of thing.
Sure, and it could actually, it can trigger you to pick up that call. You know, if you're taking a peek at some of the stuff that's going out there, it may give you the reason, Mike, to pick up the phone and say, hey, I don't know if you've been noticing, but I've noticed in the past couple of years, you know, you picked up this much equity based on this and that. It might be a time to talk about A, B, or C, which is what you guys would plan on helping them save money or pull money out or whatever they need to do.
Buy that second home.
Yeah, buy that second home. There it is. Especially when that equity builds to a good number. They may not realize it. You know, they guess. So here's some factual data that comes out. But it's a great way to, for them to stay in touch, and B, for you to trigger that phone call and, you know, keep them up to date what's going on. So definitely cool. So this next one here is not just Evernote, you know, because everyone talks about Evernote. Although I still hear so many people talking about Evernote and still don't really use Evernote. But I don't want to talk about Evernote right this second. I want to talk about the Scannable app that they acquired, and it's called Scannable. It's here on the screen. And Scannable, like any other type of scanning app, you always wonder how accurate it's going to be. Is it really going to scan the data properly? Is it going to blur it out? And Scannable, I got to say, by far is super impressive. Not only scans the documents right into your Evernote folders or into your Evernote formats that you have in place, but it will do all sorts of editing and cropping and pull your business cards in as well and turn it into real data. It was a really smart move by Evernote to grab this company, because Evernote being, you know, your brain basically out there digitally, Scannable can take anything that needs to be put into digital format, and it does a beautiful job on getting that accomplished. I've not had a problem with it, whereas a lot of these other scan apps I may have had some sets of issues with, or just accuracy. So far, it's done a great job. So check out Scannable. I don't think there's even a charge to it. I think it's free and part of the Evernote package as well. So definitely cool, fun to run with. Now, tape a call. You know, I got to give you the warning here based on laws and legalities, of course, what's legal in your marketplace, if it's legal or not. But at the end of the day, if you need to tape a call, there might be a legitimate reason. Tape a call will let you record a phone call that you're currently on. Or if you're about to make a call, you could just open up tape a call and hit record, and it will simply do all that. It will store it and record it to your iPhone and your computer in seconds. It's really fast. It'll turn it into, I think it's an MPEG-4, and it's easily shareable by text and email. So, you know, again, just watch what you're recording, what's legal, what's not, but there's times you might just have to recapture something based on maybe your own memory. Like I need to remember what's on the call, or, you know, for maybe some other legal reasons that are within guidelines. But definitely a good app for a lot of uses that works pretty well. All right, how are we doing on time here? There we go. Good. All right, Ring Central. We're doing good, right, Mike?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, we're good. So Ring Central. Ring Central basically has turned out to be the virtual phone system for a lot of real estate companies. There's a lot of VoIP products out there for VoIP, but at the end of the day, I see a lot of people, including myself, even falling back to the Ring Central platform. They have evolved a lot over the years. They've become much more cleaner, crisp company, but their product literally could be hardware or virtual, meaning I could have one phone in my office, one physical phone connected to the internet now, not connected to a landline, and yet still have 50 agents all on their own extensions, all forwarding to their cell phones, all with a voicemail box, and no other physical hardware in the office. Yes, you might pay for certain lines and extensions and everything else. You can build it as you need it, but you don't have to have 50 devices for 50 people anymore. So the customization of having the flexibility of a lot of voicemail boxes and simply the call forwarding through voice over IP to the person's cell phone saves a lot of hardware, makes it very efficient. I'll tell you, from the app standpoint, it's fantastic to see the phone calls that came in, the phone calls that were missed, the transfers, how long they were on for, and it's all in a beautiful dashboard that's trackable, manageable. You know, I can literally go change someone's extension if I'm a broker owner and add extensions on the fly as we need them. So it's really recreated the virtual office, if you will. And if you're a physical, you know, brick and mortar office, this may be a way to scale down the communication system you have and yet get more features and flexibility. So been back to Ring Central, and I'm a big fan. I know many people that are using it with great success. Great app on the device as well. Dropbox. Now, I'm not going to talk about Dropbox. You know why? Because everyone talks about Dropbox. And if you don't have Dropbox by now, you know, I'm not sure if you're in this universe. But I want to just tell you the little spin-off of Dropbox. Just a neat little feature about it. If you have not seen the Microsoft Office integration in Dropbox, you might want to go check it out. In other words, if I have a Word doc or an Excel doc in my Dropbox, what I'd have to do is when I wanted to edit it, I'd have to open up the Word doc. It would open up in Word, and then go to Word, edit it, resave it, and re-put it back into Dropbox for every document. Now Office is integrated into Dropbox, whereby I can work in my Word platform in Dropbox and not have to leave the Dropbox platform. So I get the Office features built in, making changes while not having to come out of Dropbox to do that. Really pretty slick, definitely user-friendly. And if you're not leveraging sharing folders with some of your clients and some other cool stuff, you're missing out. The amount of data they've increased to over the years, you should be storing a lot of stuff. The one important thing I think people miss on Dropbox is they're taking tons of photos on their mobile device and either transferring it to iPhoto or this one or that one. Just auto-sync your photos to Dropbox and let them automatically go there. Because we're so busy, we don't track all these photos, personal and business. Let them auto-sync so that they're always there, and if you do miss out on and drop your phone or whatever it might be, at least you've got the majority of stuff in that device. But photos are always a pain to upload manually because of the time. If it's automatically done, there's an auto feature, you don't think about it.
Jeff, let me just pause you there for a minute because you're touching on something that sometimes I feel a little inferior when I get around my cell phone and when I'm using different technology. You're bringing up apps I've never heard or seen, and I'm sure some of our audience today is thinking that some of these things they don't know if they're relevant to them. And the whole world is going mobility, right? Everything's got to work off your cell phone.
Right.
In order to be relevant, it's got to work with your cell phone. So. What if I'm not really comfortable in understanding the instructions that come from some of these apps, because some of them get a little bit complicated. I don't know if my phone settings are right, and I want to make sure that I'm using the technology to the best that meets my business needs, and it doesn't become some cumbersome thing that I'm eventually just going to delete off my phone or my iPad or whatever. What's the best way to get assistance? I know you provide a valuable tool at the end of this event. You give everybody your ebook, and that's helpful. Where can they get maybe some custom hands-on training, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think like anything else, I think the challenge is the execution of actually how to use it. We could talk about an app and everything, and I don't want to selfishly plug. There's a lot of sources out there too, but I happen to have a system called Technically Real Estate that does show tutorials of this stuff at technicallyrealestate.com. But, I mean, let's face it, too, you can go to YouTube and see some parsing of different people using different things. I think there is a need for that. That's kind of the reasons why we created what we did, is because now that I understand it, like I just talked about, for example, diptych, and it sounds cool and all, but at the end of the day, when I'm in there, how do I figure it out, and how do I could trial and error it, but if someone could show me in 10 minutes and I could just watch it, it's a heck of a lot easier. So that's really probably one of the best resources we have right now besides YouTube. And with YouTube, you're kind of just winging it on other people's, videos, good, bad, or indifferent. They're just trying to show you that way. But
right, and that was a little bit of a plug, because I know that you can search for these things on YouTube, but sometimes I know, like myself and a lot of the clients that we work with, they really want the hands-on training, somebody that really helps them, because once you usually figure out the apps and you start using it, and you need to use it to learn it, then you get rolling, and it's useful in your business. So, okay.
And while our system doesn't have every app, of course, we have the majority, and that's what our company does, that we help train and guide people through these methods, because it is overwhelming. But the tutorials and the webinars that are done on this really have to show, when I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to tell you the why, then it's about the how, and the how there needs to be a solution to is how do I do it now? So you're right. We need to have that tutorial stuff, and if we can help at the end of this, I'll be happy to share that. But good point. You're right. It gets overwhelming. That's why, believe it or not, this list I've narrowed down from 100 to 25. Because personally, I don't think you need all 25 either. I think you need about 8 to 10 apps at most, and that's it. I mean, other than your own personal stuff, you don't need a lot. The problem is we keep downloading and downloading all these apps. We don't even know what they do. Some of them are on our iPhones or Androids forever, and we haven't used them because we just got caught up in it. We downloaded it, and it sits there. Well, delete it. It's a waste of your time. And I say that even about social media. not to diverse, but, you know, oh, I've got Twitter, I've got this. If you haven't sent a tweet in 6 months or 5, delete it. You don't need an account. Don't do it. If you're going to do something, do it well. And the rest of the stuff, just get rid of it for now. No one says you have to do all this. You just need to pick and choose what needs to enhance your business. Like if you say, oh, that diptych idea, I can go to an open house and impress my customer, do that. That's it. You know, these are ideas and suggestions, and I think we get caught up in these webinars, Mike. Everyone starts downloading all of these things, and then they frantically try and figure them all out, and they don't, and then they end up doing nothing. And that's a challenge.
Right on.
So I am totally with you on that. Next up is one of my new favorite mobile sites. And when I say favorite, man, if you're not using RPR Mobile in the real estate industry, I mean, other than maybe a few small pockets in the country where your MLS might not participate, you are missing the boat on some of the most fabulous data, bar none. First of all, RPR, Realtor Property Resource, owned by NAR. So guess what? Guess how much this costs, Mike?
How much?
Free. It's in their NAR dues. They don't even know it. They're paying for it already. So NAR, it's already picked up the tab. RPR is a free app you download. And not only does it pull from your MLS, so you're getting your MLS data, and mind you, it's only for real estate agents. The consumers don't get this. Not only are you getting your real estate MLS data to search and have access to, it will also provide public data, mortgage data, when their loan was, how much they owe, what their names are, when they bought the property, what the value of the property is, how big the square footage of the property. It's an amazing amount of content where not only can I see the house, the person, the owner, the mortgage, when they bought it, and if it's available or not for sale and get that MLS data, it's all done in a beautifully optimized mobile platform that gives me data on demand, data on the fly. So if you're at an open house and someone says, oh, I wonder what the house next door sold for last year, it's on your phone in the RPR app. You can see what it sold for, you can see who the new owners are, you can see what they paid for it, you can see what their taxes are without leaving the property you're in right there. So it's at no charge to you. It's mobilely optimized. It's a wonderful, and I used to use the term when I started talking about RPR Mobile. It brings sexy back to mobile. That's what it does. And when you start to use it, you'll find out that a lot of times you're using this more than any other MLS type product. Okay, so if your MLS is fantastic, great, not take away from them. But this has that content plus more. If you're a prospector and working out on the street farming, it's a home run. You know their names, you know their address, you know their everything before you knock on their door. So just a really great thing to carry around with you. Happens to be one of my favorites. And at no charge being paid for in your NAR dues, why not have it, right? So there you go. .loop. I know this has been a challenge. Paperless, we talk about it all the time, but you know darn well paperless is being challenged. Not everyone can quite get paperless. We try and get close to paperless, but more so instead of the word paperless, very few of us right now today are going to go completely file cabinet free. Okay, some of you need time. I get it. There's a few that have taken the bull by the horns and have gone completely, I don't want a piece of paper anywhere. But that's not the majority. At the end of the day, the value in these platforms and like a .loop and on the mobile is simply this. Paperless important, yes, but ongoing collaboration where everyone's in the same loop, no pun intended, everyone's on the same page by communicating in the same secure app. So my attorneys, my other real estate agents, my title company, all know exactly what's going on with all the files at hand, and everything is in one space securely that the transaction is being held in. So for that reason alone, the communication of putting a transaction together remotely wherever you are and having digital signatures will save you a lot of deals and a lot of aggravation. So we get caught up in this whole, you know, I can't go completely paperless. Who cares? You'll get there eventually. Use something to collaborate with your clients versus faxing 5 different people, emailing 5 other different people. Everything's here in one place, all digital, all stored, all backed up, all compliant, and they're waiting for your next person to take the next step of what has to happen in the deal. So if at best, that's the best solution right there for that. Cam Scanner, somebody besides the one I shared with Evernote that you might not be necessarily an Evernote user. Some people still want a scanner that can, you know, on the fly, scan a document, turn it to a PDF, whatever it might be. Cam Scanner has been around a long time. It's evolved. It has some nice cropping features and editing features built into it now. So it happens to be one of the top of the scanner. So I can't say it's a super sexy product by any means. It does a really good job if you need to have one on the fly. I like it for just simply quick snaps and sends, but I happen to be an Evernote user, so I am using Scannable. If you're not, here's another good alternative to that. Refresh. Many of you may not know about Refresh. Refresh is, some people might feel even gets creepy at some point, but let's say you have an appointment with somebody in the next couple days, and it's in your calendar. Well, do you really know everything about that particular person? Do you have all of their social media? Do you know their website information? Do you know their bio? What Refresh does is it will aggregate and find all of the common ground of people and search the web and pull it all together for you. So it's going to pull everything from your calendar to all of the content it could find about that person into one app, if you will. So you could literally learn about their, their profiles, their websites, their blogs, their social, any insights that it may find on the web, and aggregate it together for you before you pick up the phone or before you meet somebody for lunch. So it's really slick before you have that meeting, or you're meeting maybe a customer or a client. Refresh will aggregate it all together for you. So definitely some good quick, Big Brother-ish kind of stuff on your desktop and app.
We have one of our attendees make a note that, was this purchased by LinkedIn? Is there any other features that are coming with it? Some good feedback on that app.
Yeah, there is good feedback on it. I don't know the details of how it's going to evolve just yet. I mean, I don't. Maybe there's other resources out there that do. LinkedIn's bought a few other things, too, that have not necessarily done what they were supposed to do with it. So you don't know the agenda, if they're looking to buy it to really integrate it or if they're looking to buy it to just strip it down and use the software. I don't think I've seen that information yet, so I can't make an assumption there. But the feedback has been fantastic on the product. I hope they keep it in its more natural form, but I don't know, to be honest. Are you getting anybody in the chat that's sharing something more than that?
Yeah, just some positive feedback that it's a great app. So they just were endorsing what you were saying. So yep, go ahead, Jeff. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Gene. I see Gene too jumping in on that. Yeah, I hate to make that assumption. Unfortunately, I've seen them simply buy something to strip it down to use the platform, but it's their agenda. PDF Expert. Many people have a PDF type platform, so I have to at least put one out there. One of the benefits too, though, PDF Expert will let you fill out forms, though. It'll let you check boxes, put buttons on stuff. So if you need to sign something fairly quickly, and I'm not going to say that from a wet signature standpoint, but here's a question for you, Mike, just because we talk about paperless and there's so much litigation going around about this stuff. If I had a PDF Expert document, right, and I used it, and I take it on my iPad, I open PDF Expert up, and I sign it, right? I sign it, and I email it back to you. Well, some people say, well, that's not, an authentic digital signature. It's not authorized. I say, okay, well, what's the difference, Mike, if you sent me a fax to my house, like we used to do, or some still do, you sent me a fax, I signed it and sent it back. How do you know that was really me that signed it?
I don't.
Right. So I don't understand why the argument sometimes, if you send me an email and I open it up in PDF Expert, I didn't use .loop or DocuSign or some authenticated signature, I sign it on my iPad, I save it, send it right back to you. And you go, okay, but people are arguing, well, that's not an authorized signature. It's not a, okay, well, how would you know if a fax I sent back to you is authorized? My mother could have signed for it, who knows? So I just don't know where that argument goes. If you've heard that much dealing with faxes or these other type of signatures, have you seen any of that in your industry at all? Or?
Well, no, of course we're using like e-sign and DocuSign and those type of documents for the mortgage industry, which is highly regulated, of course, and so we have to make sure that everything that's acceptable to HUD and Fannie Mae, are, endorsed, software. So, it would be good if we had, more applications that were acceptable, but we haven't had any argument in terms of receiving faxes, and you're right, we just don't know who signed it.
So receiving a fax usually is acceptable, but if I sent this back, and I totally understand the, using the DocuSigns and or the .loops or whoever it is for that, for that organized signature that's been approved and date stamped and all this other stuff, but yet we have an app like this where I could sign it. To me, it's the equivalent of a fax, but people argue it that it's not acceptable, and I just never could justify the difference because I think faxes, we've accepted it for years, and I think it's the biggest joke because God knows who it can. I could have my son here sign it and send it back. You wouldn't know the difference. But it's just a unique argument that's out there in the field. Just thought I'd share. So, all right, cool. So let's chug along. We're getting down to the wire here. Haiku Deck. If you have not used Haiku Deck, there's a really cool beta that's happening right now. I just sent in the first beta test. It's called Zuru. Haiku Deck is simply kind of a very visual presentation product that lets you use more high-res photos versus like PowerPoint where you put bullet points and words and all stuff. Haiku Deck takes a spin on creating very visual content, very visual presentations. Their new beta called Zuru is promising, and I will see it because I'm in their beta group. I just sent them the first presentation, but the premise is this. Take your old PowerPoint that you've been using, send it to Zuru. Zuru is going to take it and turn it into a very visual presentation superior to what you sent them and send it back to you. If it really does that, I'm extremely excited because not that I struggle with it, but it's, you know how much time to create presentations and the creativity, it does take a lot of time, and while I do take that time to do it, if I could take some of my presentations and literally jazz them up more visually by sending it to Zuru and letting that happen, I would be thrilled. So I am anxious to see the smart algorithm they're using to make this happen. And like I said, I won't know more until it does, but that's their premise. I think it's definitely something to look at because I bet on this. The majority of our presentations that I've seen in the industry, not necessarily by experts in the business, but the industry at large of people doing tons of words, tons of bullet points, need more visual anyway. So if anything, I think this is going to help the majority regardless, create better visual content because most of us don't have good visual content in our slides. So Zuru, check it out on Haiku Deck. Animoto, big fan of Animoto. Can't really dwell on this, but from the mobile aspect, I do a whole presentation on this alone. Not to talk about the desktop version, the mobile app itself, from an iPad to an iPhone to an Android, you could literally create an awesome 10-second, 30-second, 60-second slideshow tour to music and animation that it would take most of us hours or never to ever do in our thought process. We just don't have that kind of skill set. It automatically does it, but what I like is the user interface for the mobile device is super clean, super responsive. I check the boxes I want, it integrates properly, and I can do it all on my iPhone in about 3 to 5 minutes. And because it's mobile, I can now impress a customer by simply texting them, emailing them, and doing it right on the fly before I even get back to the office in some cases when I'm on a listing or some other place. So I can create a beautiful presentation on the fly on my mobile and not have to leave my mobile device. That's the thing that impresses me about this app. While it was always good on the desktop, it became better on the mobile device. BombBomb is all about video via email. Some of you have been using BombBomb for a while. Not many of us use the BombBomb app, but this will help you send video clips on the fly from the mobile. BombBomb not only has a responsive email delivery for video email, it has phenomenal tracking also on the mobile device, open rates, click-throughs, and now building some superior lead capture forms and everything else. But their main focus is video delivered by email, which is always a unique challenge with many, many more robust features. But now you can actually have access to it through the mobile device, iPhones, Androids, and everything else. And super cool to be able to do when you're out and about, because that's where the best video is taken. When you're on location, at the spot, at the house, at the property, where the video should be taken. So it can all be done through BombBomb. And last but certainly not least, Route for me. I have watched many of real estate agents run around counties and cities like chickens without a head. If you actually analyzed taking a long day of showing 5 to 10 homes, 6 homes, 8 homes, if you actually looked on a Google map of where you went that day, you've probably done a lot of figure 8s back and forth and who's got the dog and who you can't see now. Route for me, you simply plug in the locations of the homes you want to see. It's going to give you the best route from point A to point B. It'll tell you how to get back the most efficient way. And if one unique property has to be shown at the end of the day, you mark that one as your last one, and we'll still show you the most efficient route the rest of the day before you get to the last one. So totally efficient planner for routing your time. Also, a really nice part of this is in today's world, unlike back in the day when I used to have customers get in my car, now most of the time they're following you. or they're meeting you. So you can plan the 5 homes you're going to show them en route for me. Here's the 5 homes. Here's my 5 appointments. Just in case you lose me, I'm going to text this to you, and they will have the route with them on their mobile device, house 1, house 2, house 3, house 4, or 5, and they can follow along just as well in case you lose them or something goes on in between. So definitely slick, organized type product. People love it when they get used to it if you're that detailed type personality. On that note, I want to hand back to you, Michael, and I do have that ebook information and some other stuff we're going to talk about, but any questions that came up I didn't get a chance to look at, or
we don't have any other questions right now, so I'm going to give our audience, we've got a couple extra minutes. If anybody wants to type in any questions, either in the chat box or the question box, we'll try to get to those. In the meantime, Jeff, thanks for another great event. For those of you that haven't worked with Jeff, he does a great job. He has trained literally thousands and thousands of real estate agents as well as several mortgage people. Really a great resource. So, we ask that you please complete the survey once this webinar is over, and you'll get a link to all of our webinars as well as Jeff's free ebook, which of course will contain valuable information. For those of you that may not be aware, today is Take Your Children to Work Day, so I want to give a shout out to Jeff's kids, James and Lily, who are with him helping him train today. So James and Lily, thanks for joining us, and for all the other kids out there, hopefully you're having some fun today and learning what your parents do every day. They're
sitting here watching over my shoulder. They've been very quiet and very patient. One leaning over my shoulder, one I think downloading apps behind me, but definitely fun for them to watch what we do. It's a cool idea, and I'm glad I took part of it.
Chip off the old block, I know. So, several notes that I wrote down. I mean, that Mile IQ is awesome. Waze, I've heard about that. It's great. Several new ones that I need to check out. So some really good information. Again, if there's any questions, we'll take them. It doesn't look like there are. So I want to thank everybody for attending. Just a note regarding next month's AEM Achieve event. Where you see the timing of a Memorial Weekend coming up, so we're not going to have an event in May. But we are going to have a June event, and we're going to be revisiting the CFPB and the important Dodd-Frank changes that are taking effect August 1st that are going to affect realtors. In January, we had an event with Aaron Davis, who is a title real estate expert, and he presented some great topics for us. But we're getting very close to that deadline, and there's going to be changes to the real estate world that are going to affect every real estate agent that you need to be aware of. The HUD one's going to go away. The new closing disclosure is going to be implemented. So if you want to hear more about what's happening and what your lenders are doing to prepare for this, it's very important that you attend the June event. You'll get some great information. Thanks for any feedback you have for us. Jeff, thanks again for a great session. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And if anybody needs me, my contact information is here as well. Remember, the session's recorded as well. It'll come out to you guys too. So hopefully some great feedback in the survey, and thanks for having me on again. I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you, and thank you everyone for attending. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.